Hey everyone, welcome to this new moon Sidereal Astrology forecast for the new moon on Friday, May 19th, 2023. All right, so we have a new lunar cycle in the constellation of Taurus. If you're expecting me to say a different constellation just then, be sure to check out the link down below for more information. We are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. All right, so Taurus the bull, it's all about connecting more with our resourceful side and cultivating our inner and outer resources. So a good time to listen, see what new does emerge out of this new moon. It's likely going to be a lunar cycle, a lunar month of connecting more with our steady side, our resourceful side, our self-reliant, right? Connecting to that groundedness, that inner strength, Taurus the bull, steady and resourceful. And as a result, enjoying perhaps some of the material life, connecting to nature, a good meal, some relaxation, some sensual energy, and maybe cultivating more abundance, external abundance in our life as well, are all great ways of working with this new moon. So the new moon is on the easier side with the aspects. We do have a trine up to Pluto, who is forming a T-square this week, so there is a challenge to the week itself. If you haven't yet seen my weekly video where I discuss that, do check that out. But it's nice to see the new moon is in harmony to something that's a little more challenging. So a trine to Pluto can mean that there's support with the new moon to be self-empowered, transformed, reclaim some of that true power that Pluto can help us connect to. And there's sextiles up to Mars and Neptune. Mars is our assertive side, and Neptune is our receptive side. So there's a good harmony also this week regarding that active yet receptive, right? Proactive yet listening and doing what's so important, right? So nice harmony there with those. But it is definitely worth mentioning that this week we do have that T-square, which is a bit of a clash with some of the deeper, intense energies of Pluto. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in this new moon as well. So let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the chart for the new moon. So the exact time of the new moon will be around 11:30 Eastern time of the Americas, if you do want to make that calculation for wherever you are in the world. But for all intents and purposes, it will be really Friday for most of us, but even the days surrounding Friday as well. All right, and as you can see here, we are using the visible sky, which means the uneven constellations. Mainstream astrology, including Vedic or other forms of sidereal, use an even 30 degrees for all the signs. But if you do look up at the sky, you will see that the signs are different sizes. And so we are taking that into account to see exactly where all the planets are for, in this case, the new moon. So if you're new, definitely check out the link down below for more information on true sidereal astrology. All right, so a new moon is the beginning of the lunar cycle. It is the lowest energy of the cycle, so it's important, as always, to end the current lunar month as we approach Friday. Good to clear, do a reset, both internally and externally, in order to create space for the new beginnings. And all in all, new moons are a good time to listen and see what new does arise, and from that, perhaps set some intentions, of course. There's always a good balance between listening and being receptive and seeing what the universe or life is prompting out of this new moon for us, is planting in this garden of the new moon for us, but also what we want to plant in the garden as well. And hopefully where these two things are aligned. Now, to get it aligned, it's important to understand what the constellation of Taurus is all about. And so Taurus the bull is that earth sign. It's all about cultivating both our inner and outer earth, which we could say our inner earth would be our inner resources, our inner strength, our self-reliance, our self-efficacy, the belief in ourselves, right? That we can attain our values and cultivate things in life. And even our natural talents as well, those inner resources, right? So connecting to that inner strength, connecting with that self-reliance, connecting with those natural talents, those abilities, right? That's what helps cultivate that groundedness of Taurus. But of course, this can all be externalized as well. And so Taurus is also a great time to connect to the earth of the outer world. This can be literal earth or nature. It can also be all the things that nature and earth provide. Food, nutrition, plants, aromas, even comforts, a hot bath, aromatherapy, all this stuff that helps us connect more to the sensual elements of life, to the external world, to the sensing or sensory experience. And to be grateful for these things, I think is a great way of working with the Taurus energy specifically. So cultivating those inner and outer resources, we could say cultivating our inner and outer abundance in life, and as a result, getting more of that stability there in both the inner and outer experiences. So listening, see what new arises from there, but any intentions around these types of things are fantastic. Now, as I said, the new moon is in good harmony. We can see that there's no major squares or oppositions with the new moon. It's still going to be quite close to Uranus, but I think that one really got activated already. So just knowing there's still a little bit of energy, that's good to kind of be open to new experiences, mix things up a little bit, get outside our comfort zone a little bit. But I think that's past. And I think the main aspects here is going to be the trine up to Pluto, and the sextile up to Mars, and also the sextile up to Neptune. And this is because, well, Mars and Pluto are opposite each other, and they are forming a T-square up to Jupiter, as I was saying here. So here it is in the chart, Jupiter squaring both Mars and Pluto. So this is the energy of the week. I did talk about this in detail in the weekly video, but here all week long, really, we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion and bringing things to a more magnified view, is contacting deep and intense Pluto, the ruler of the underworld and transformation. And so there is a bit of a pendulum swing perhaps with some of that deeper energy, both internally and externally. The new moon will, of course, have the same, since it's still at the same time period as the new moon. But it's nice to see that the new moon is supporting it. And in this case, supporting particularly the Pluto side. So Pluto is about reconnecting with more of that self-empowered side, the true power side. I think with this T-square, there are some unhealthy power dynamics within ourselves, or maybe even externally or relationally as well. But these are getting stripped away, right? The old and outworn modes of whatever we've had as a security blanket, or ways of coping with things, or controlling things that maybe just aren't healthy, too attached, right? They're based out of fear. This square is really helping strip that away. But it's nice to see that with this new beginning, which is really going to be coming out of a lot of the exact squares with the energy, well, not the opposite Mars to Pluto, but the square with Jupiter and Pluto is coming after that. So in many ways, I think the Friday new moon is a bit of the post-transformed energy, some of that post-deeper energy. It's still in effect, though. I want to make that very clear, because Saturday, Mars will be opposite Pluto, but there's definitely a little bit of that post-transformation. So in that case, feeling a bit maybe empowered, feeling a bit supported in perhaps facing fears and doing things that we maybe really wanted to do. Trines to Pluto can be very constructive times, even squares, of course, to really do things that maybe we were inhibited to do before, right? We had a fear, or we just didn't feel like we could do it. And so the trine gives us that sense of, again, true power and the ability to remove obstacles and do what's really deeply and truly meaningful to us. And also to just all in all be more raw and real with ourselves, and even more raw and real with our relationships. It's not a relationship type of energy here, but of course, as we are more raw and real with ourselves, of course, we can do that relationally also. So it's just good, new moon, to, again, connect with that, in this case, true power, self-empowerment, and feeling a bit of that, and then perhaps externalizing that a little bit in the world. And when we do get a bit attached to things, we can practice a little bit of that ego death, if you will, to let go a little bit of control, to maybe ease up on the reins a little bit, recognize that really nothing can harm us in a real spiritual sense. You know what I mean? We have that core self, that core spiritual self that isn't subject to any external events or anything like that. So this is the kind of energy that Pluto represents, that kind of reclaiming that true power. So anyway, support with that. There is a sextile up to Mars with this as well. So there is a bit of that opening to be a bit proactive and initiating, okay, but finding a balance between the ego and the non-ego. Again, this whole opposition is about merging the ego with that true power, that true self, right? And so that I think is going to be very strong. But it's nice to see that Mars is in a good harmony to the new moon. So there is certainly support to do that. And Neptune's just in good harmony in general and this week in general. So it's nice to see the sextile there. And so there's a bit of receptivity, willingness to go with the flow perhaps, and just connect a little more with our spiritual selves, I think, with this new moon. But the strongest aspect will be the trine up to Pluto, that personal empowerment. Now, it is definitely worth mentioning that Venus, the dispositor or ruler of Taurus, is in Gemini. So when it does come to cultivating a lot of these inner and outer resources right now, Venus in Gemini might be about doing this in the sense of learning. Because what Venus in Gemini is suggesting that what we're valuing collectively is the more mental or cerebral and communicative elements. So when we say that Taurus is about cultivating our resources or cultivating our values, what we're valuing right now is probably more informational or learning or being curious and interested and maybe willing to exchange or communicate with others or get into the more practical elements of life, figure things out, learn things, use our mind a little bit, right? But even socially as well, exchange with others, information or otherwise. And so there's definitely this Gemini hinge or Gemini tinge to this new moon. And I think through that willingness to be, to learn, that willingness to be curious, it can help facilitate these new values and new resources that are in development. All right, everyone. So that is the new moon in a nutshell. New beginnings with Taurus the bull, that side of ourself, really starting the lunar month around developing that side of ourself and of life, cultivating that inner and outer abundance. It's nice to see that it's in good harmony to what is a bit of a challenging energy this week regarding that power dynamic with Pluto, but we could be feeling a bit empowered from this new moon, supporting some of that grounded, resourceful energy of Taurus. Of course, then there's a good harmony with Mars, the planet of proactivity and initiative, and also Neptune, the receptive planet, so being proactive yet receptive in good harmony. This will be the Mars trine Neptune, which will actually be earlier in the week, but we have it during the new moon as well. And showing that where a lot of this inner and outer abundance can be cultivated is through the Gemini qualities of connecting to that curious, interested, and flexible side. All right, so everyone, have a fantastic new moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, it is a free newsletter where you do get these videos released first before YouTube and extra content not normally released on YouTube. So have a great new moon, everyone. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.